Not so fast. Hello, my friend. Perez Hilton here, the queen of all media, the original influencer. And earlier today, I shared with you the very interesting development that Gene Hackman left his 3 only children completely out of his will. He had named his wife, who tragically died within days of him, as his sole heir. Now, there was a lot of bickering in the comments section. People arguing that because he died after her, she never became his beneficiary. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and if you are one or work in the legal field, please chime in the comments section. My thought then, when I made my initial video, and my thought now has not changed, but there is some new information. I'll get to that in a second. My thought is, even though I don't know all of the details why, he was of sound mind and made the choice to purposefully not give anything to his 3 adult children. They are in their 60s now. One is 65, the other is 62, and the other one is almost 60. TMZ reported that his son, the eldest, retained a lawyer, Andrew M. Katzenstein, a prominent California trust and estate attorney. And it's 95% certain to me that because TMZ broke this story, they were fed information by this lawyer representing his son. Translation: the information is slanted. Let's look at this objectively. Don't you all agree that he should be able to decide to do whatever he wants with his money? Period. Question mark, period. I said in my previous video, I don't want to leave my kids any money. I want to enjoy my life after I've provided for my children. I would divide up my physical possessions, set up scholarship funds for my grandkids, and that's it. However, I just noticed a big discrepancy. In their article, TMZ says the Hollywood legend made Betsy his sole beneficiary back in 1995, according to the docs obtained by TMZ. Okay. I consider TMZ to be credible, but everybody makes mistakes. And People magazine just released a new article after that TMZ one was published. And People says Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy signed their wills in 2005. Interesting. One outlet says 1 year, the other one says a different year, 10 years later. I think People is also very credible. And check this out. The headline of the People magazine article says, Gene Hackman signed his will 20 years ago, making it exponentially harder to contest. What? The TMZ article made it seem like his kids were easily going to get a share. This is what the TMZ article said, quote, New Mexico is a community property state, so assuming there's no prenup, Betsy's estate could have a lot of money and her share would go to charity. As for Gene's estate, despite the fact he did not include his children in his will, they would presumably get his share since they are the most direct living heirs. Not so fast. Let's go into this new, more recent People magazine article. The initial TMZ article, which was most likely fed to them by and influenced by this attorney representing his son and possibly the daughters as well, that initial article claimed that Gene made no mention of his kids in his will. His will said that all of his money goes to her. Her will says that if she and he were to die a simultaneous death within a very short amount of time of each other, that then all of her money goes to charity. Jean and Betsy didn't have any children together. The 3 kids are from a previous relationship. But this trust and family lawyer, who is not working with Hackman's son, tells people that because the will was signed 20 years ago, or hell, 30 years ago, according to TMZ, that could make a contest to the will more unlikely. David Esquivias says, quote, "In this situation, Gene Hackman and his wife did not sign their will and trust in 2025 or 2024, but had that been the case, I think there was more likelihood that there's going to be a contest. But if you're looking at the dates of the will, they're 2005. Pause. Just 1 year after he made his final movie. He was younger then and more viral, and presumably 20 or 30 years ago had all of his faculties there. He died at 95. The lawyer says, contesting a 20-year-old document is exponentially harder than contesting a deathbed signed document. Jean and Betsy named each other as the personal representatives of each other's estates when they signed their wills in June of 2025. Betsy was also named the successor trustee of the Gene Hackman Living Trust, but given Jean and Betsy's deaths, Esquivia says it's impossible to... Oh, this is interesting. Listen. Given Jean and Betsy's death, Esquivia, the lawyer not affiliated with the family, says it is impossible to say who the beneficiaries of Jean's trust are because that information has not been made public. Quote, in this case, we don't see who the beneficiaries are of the Gene Hackman Trust because the Gene Hackman Trust hasn't been either publicly released or it's not part of the probate proceeding. Typically, though, the probate proceeding, at least in California, the trust is usually included. Whether information regarding Jean's trust will be made public remains unclear, but without that information, it's impossible to know whether Jean's 3 adult children are included. Additionally, this lawyer says that his son hiring an estate and trust attorney, quote, is probably just routine. Just, hey, let's get some legal representation for some general advice. I don't think in this case it probably means it too much, this other lawyer says. I don't know if I agree with the lawyer now on that point. Julia L. Peters, chief counsel at Avalon Trust Company, a Santa Fe investment firm, has been appointed as the personal representative of both Jean and Betsy's estate moving forward. The remainder of Betsy's estate is to go to her personal representative to hold in a charitable trust to achieve purposes beneficial to the community, consistent with the charitable preferences and interests expressed or indicated by my spouse and me during our lifetimes, Betsy wrote in her individual will, making no mention of his kids in her will either. And as we know, she died from a rare condition called hantavirus, and Jean died from advanced Alzheimer's and heart disease. It's believed that she died first and Jean died afterwards, a week later. We know that because she was seen one day out and about and then not seen again, but then his pacemaker recorded activity a week later. He was still alive up until that point. Additionally, according to officials in Santa Fe, their dog who died likely died of starvation and dehydration, the necropsy report finds. So, a lot to take in and discuss. I think that what Jean wants should be honored, personally. Sorry, kids, grown adults. What do you think? Let's discuss it all in the comment section, and especially if you're a lawyer or a legal professional. Chime in.